Yes, we know it's fake is back again. Thanks for listening, for downloading. My name is Alan, and I would like to welcome in my co-host. His name is Paul Berry. I don't have anything funny to say off the top of my head. So, Paul, how are you?
Alan, I've got one question for you tonight, and that is, what is your favorite piece of fireworks of all time? To like have in your backyard or in your neighborhood or whatever that is. What are you setting off on 4th of July?
So, fireworks are not my favorite thing, but they're one of my wife's favorite things. And so I've really come to enjoy how much fun she has. So this is a little bit of me putting her over, saying she's my favorite firework. But also, I do love a good, like, $40 50-shot mega bomb where it's just colors blasting high and popping loud in the air.
Like shell after shell after shell.
Just repeated. I close to that. Like, I have come to enjoy the let's literally light this $10 to $20 of firecrackers on fire and just watch it burn and your street turn black. I have come to appreciate that. Those are not my favorite, but also my brother-in-law loves that. So, like, I also am like, he's delighted by that. That's kind of fun, but I don't really care. If they didn't happen, I wouldn't miss them. What about you?
I will sign me up for, like, all of the, like, things that produce smoke, sparks, big pops, like, all the things. As I was thinking about WWE lately and the garbage that has been coming through, WWE, and you know, to their credit, they're giving us Matt Riddle, Ricochet, John Morrison in a Money in the Bank, Big E in Money in the Bank. By the time this airs, probably the rest of that field has filled out. Like, for those four, price of admission, I'm in. Like, sign me up. They'll probably get Drew McIntyre winning it again, but that's that. You know, sign me up for the other four. So all that to say, like, I really do deeply enjoy, you know, fireworks of all types and kinds. Like, I lit my dad's hair on fire with some fireworks once. Like, it like. 4th of July was my parents' anniversary, and my mom's birthday was on the 5th. So, like, every year, Mom would say, just get me fireworks for my birthday. I love fireworks. I feel like Vince McMahon is the fireworks stan in Joe Dirt, where he only sells snakes and sparklers because that's all that he likes. And like, that's a scene worth revisiting once a year, just to check yourself on, like, am I doing business for my customers? Am I creating for my customers? Am I creating for, you know, the things that people are interested in? Or am I just doing stuff that I like? And if you're comfortable just doing stuff that you like and you don't care if your audience likes it or not, that's fine. Vince McMahon is running a multi-billion-dollar public corporation. You know, this sells millions in merchandise and millions in ticket sales and millions in TV deals, and he's selling snakes and sparklers, and it is killing me. So, anyway, there's my 4th of July rant as we get ready to go back into our power rankings that we started last week.
That's right. So last week we had the big cliffhanger. I dropped my number 6 was the BTE trigger, and then we decided we were going to drop the other 5 from each of us here in this episode. We're also going to get to some other rankings. Do you want to preview what those are for the people, Paul?
Yeah, so we're going to get into ranking WWE pay-per-view sponsors, thinking about Applebee's and where they rank. You know, sponsoring Money in the Bank. So we're going to kind of get into, actually, that's not what we're getting into. We're going to finish up our list of finishers. We're going to talk about the best non-wrestling personalities and characters on TV right now. And we're going to get into what I think is going to be a very meaty discussion of the best factions in wrestling right now.
Yes, I'm looking forward to this episode. We've been, a long time ago, we talked about what should we power rank, and then we've been slowly moving through, and these are some of the ones that I think can spur a lot of great conversation, and that who knows how much we will agree or disagree with any of that. So I had dropped number 6. Well, first of all, go to linktr.ee/yes we know it's fake. All the places that you can stay up to date with the show, whether it's social media or your favorite podcast providers or apps, and just go ahead and subscribe so you never miss a thing. Okay, Paul, you are dropping number 5.
I'm going to drop number 5. I'm going to drop number 5.
Because when I think of the word fake, I think of you.
Listen, you have heard me talk a number of times about realism and wanting something to look like something you'd actually do to someone, etc. And it's why I hate that MSK assisted, I don't remember if it's a backflip or moonsault or what it is, but like or it might be a shooting star press even. I hate that thing so much. But my number 5, no one would ever actually do this move, but my God, is it just the fucking coolest looking finisher. Ember Moon's Eclipse.
Yes, dude.
I'm telling you, if she were in title picture, this would be in the top 2 for me.
It's so good. And we spent a lot of time on the last episode. If you missed it, you should go back and listen to it. We talked about, or at least I talked about, how there are iconic finishers, and then some of mine are iterative off that. They're innovative off of it. So I talked about how the Stone Cold Stunner is my favorite finisher of all time. Well, and there's a reason nobody else does it, because when Kevin Owens does it, I still am like, I like the move. Can you just pick something else? And for Ember Moon to do it completely differently. First of all, Paul, imagine if Stone Cold Steve Austin jumped off the top rope and did a stunner to somebody. First of all, that is just a hilarious picture in my mind, because it would never happen. So for her to do the Eclipse, it is freaking the best. It's so great.
Yeah, it's unreal. So that's my number 5. Alan, who you got coming in at number 5?
Because when I think of the word fake, I think of you.
When I think of the word super kick, I think of Shawn Michaels. When I think of super kick party, I think of the Young Bucks, but then I also think about Shawn Michaels. And we talked about how you were talking about Sweet Chin Music is your favorite finisher of all time, correct?
Yeah, it's right there with the stunner for me. Those two I don't think I can pick right now. Probably the super kick, though.
There are lots of kicks that end wrestling matches these days. There are also lots of kicks that don't end wrestling matches these days. And I just keep on this list, I just kept coming back to thinking about, if I had to choose a kick that looks like it hurts and looks like it's cool, I just kept coming back to Trouble in Paradise, man. I love the Kofi Kingston kick to end the match. I think it looks bad. I think it looks cool, and it is uniquely his. So I have Kofi Kingston, Trouble in Paradise, number 5.
It's on the top 15 for me, probably in that same space that Sami Zayn's Helluva kick holds. That Helluva kick he gave KO last week, 2 weeks ago, or whatever it was. Yes. I don't know how many weeks ago it will be by the time this airs, but
3 weeks.
The Helluva kick that he gave, if someone came running at you and got their foot up in that way and you didn't move, you would die. And clearly KO kind of died. But that one was really strong. I think Kofi's, he can hit out of that I've been knocked out a little bit. Like, he doesn't need momentum for it. He can kind of hit it out of nowhere. He can hit it in the spot where it's like a desperation, I'm about to fall down. Like, he's so uniquely talented in the way he can move his body. That one, I think that's a great placement for it. It's really good. It's not on my list, but I'm not mad at that ranking.
I love it. I love Kofi so much. I have also come to realize that now that he is in this world championship picture again, how much I love him and how much I missed it.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, you are on to number 4?
Number
I'm
4.
doing number 4.
You're doing number 4.
Yes, that's exactly right.
That's an awkward pause right there.
And I'm going to the moon! Whoa!
What is Cameron Grimes' finisher? What is his finisher?
It's the cave-in, and it made my top 20. It was on my short list when I was coming up with moves I like. I put it on there because it's pretty cool, and I think Cameron Grimes is great. But it is not on my list. This is not Cameron Grimes with number 4. My number 4, I have the one final beat DDT because I just think it's really cool.
But he never wins on that, does he?
It was the name of, he won with it to beat Tommaso Ciampa after he kicked him in the balls, and that was the name of the show. That was the name of the cinematic match, was one final beat. And so he wins with it most of the time. But I still think it's really cool, even though I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth here, because some of the things I don't like about finishers are how you have to be prone in a specific way for it to happen, which seems inherently scripted, right? But I like it. I like the one final beat because you don't win. Who wins with the DDT anymore? Nobody wins with the DDT anymore, except Johnny Gargano.
And John Moxley.
And John Moxley, but not the old school double DDT. He's got like the Mick Foley DDT, the double.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Andrade does, since his was pretty much the same thing. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if he still does that or what he does.
Oh shit! By the way, did you see? We didn't talk about this. Did you see Charlotte do the old Andrade double moonflip or moonsault?
I know. Oh, yes. Yeah, that was pretty great.
Yeah, really dope. Like, really good and a really great nod. You know, it's funny. I wonder if now that he's gone, she can do it. You know what I mean? Because there's you really probably can't do that. You probably would get sued by Vince if you took someone else's move, even if you're engaged to them. Anyway, I just thought it was really interesting when she did that. Okay, you are on... number 4.
You don't even go here.
Number 4. I love so much when movesets keep up with a character. And switching Roman's finisher to the guillotine, which you can't really pop for the way you could pop for the Superman punch and the spear. Or the Hounds of Hell power bomb, the guillotine just makes so much sense for him. I really like it. That's number 4 for me, is Roman's guillotine.
It's very strong, very, very strong, very nicely done. Okay, now we are on your number 3.
All right, Three beers making its repeat appearance in this top 10 ranking, and it's about time we got there. Randy Orton's RKO is just probably the most iconic one still used today in wrestling that hasn't been co-opted by someone else. I mean, it's been co-opted by someone else, but the RKO's he's become synonymous with that maneuver. You can hit it from anywhere. You can hit it out of nowhere. It ends the match almost every time. Totally devastating. I don't know. That you can argue that it was he stole it from Paige, and maybe he did. I don't know that I've gotten too far into that. What I do know is the RKO is the most iconic finisher still used in WWE today. So that's my number 3.
The Diamond Cutter / RKO has now been innovated into so many different ways that are so cool, right? I talked about Gin and Juice from Private Party. Cody Rhodes does a cutter, right? Like many people do a version of a cutter that's not a finisher, and I don't like that. If you'll notice the way that I've kind of been going on my list, which is like, okay, let's acknowledge the past, and here's a cool way that people have kept it a finisher. The super kick kind of being there, right? The sweet chin music. It was a lethal move. Now everybody does it, and nobody wins with it anymore. And I kind of feel the same way about the cutter, or about the RKO, where he does it and it is lethal and it is over. But everybody in AEW has a goddamn cutter, I feel like, and I don't like that part. Even though I think all of the ways to do a move at it, or to do it, are really cool. I just don't like it that it doesn't end the match in the way that the cutter is a devastating move. It's hard to get a move more devastating than smacking the front of your face into the wood. Like anyway, that's just how I feel about it. But RKO being number 3, I got no problem with that. Number 3 for me.
Why are you naked?
Oh, sorry.
3 beers.
I have the buckshot lariat as number 3. You know it's over. You know it's coming. You even know he's trying to do it. And I just think it's awesome. And I can't believe it because it's a clothesline. We've been seeing iterations of clotheslines for a million years that aren't finishers, and now we've come back to a clothesline as a finisher. And I just think it's cool how he flips over the top rope. Maybe it gives him a little more momentum, but it's a lariat. He's a cowboy. It just makes sense to me.
I don't like it. I'll be honest.
You don't like it.
I don't like. I thought about it for this list, and it feels. I don't know. If he did a straight lariat, like if he essentially stole the clothesline from hell and did that, I'd be a little more okay with it. Maybe this is him trying not to steal something straight up, but it's just not my most favorite thing.
Crowd goes ape shit for it.
That's true.
And it's, you know what I mean? Like,
and
there's a little bit of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would too, to be honest. But it's just not, like, you want to talk about somebody who could pull off a stunner, there's your guy. You want to talk, but he's so athletic, he could do just about anything, and it would really work.
Yes. Also, I meant to say this a lot earlier, and I'm afraid I'll forget it, is that my favorite move is a shooting star press. That's my favorite thing to see someone do. And you know who can do a running shooting star press? Adam Hangman Page.
Yeah, he can do anything. He can just do anything.
He really is athletic. And he's also not small. You know what I mean? Like, he's also a big dude, bigger than you think anyway.
Well, that's the thing. He's actually not that much bigger than Adam Cole. He isn't.
Sure,
he's about the same height. And, he's a little heavier, but not that much heavier. I don't know.
We're on... I just dropped number 3. You had done number 3. So now we are to number 2 for me.
Number 2 for you. Who do you got?
I have the Eclipse from Ember Moon. I just love that shit so much, man. I love it so much. When you were like, it's probably top 2 for me if she's in the title picture, and I'm like, it is top 2 for me. So I love it so much. I love the stunner. When I saw her do it for the first time, I was like, holy shit, this is so great. And I loved how they did recently use it with Raquel Gonzalez, where it knocked her out cold. I didn't like it when they did it and she was not knocked out cold in the match. I did not like that.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
The Eclipse is still super great.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. The Eclipse is real good, but it does tell me that you've left one of two really important moves off your list.
Probably so. I was afraid. Of course, this was what I was so afraid of on any of these lists, that I would just completely miss something that is embarrassing. So, do I get to go ahead and say number one?
Why don't you? I've got two left. Why don't you go ahead and drop your
you
number
have two
one?
left.
Yeah.
No. You drop number. You go to number two.
I have a feeling that we're both going to say the same thing for number one. So, should we get? So are we saying One Winged Angel at number one?
Yes, we are.
I mean, One Winged Angel is the finishing move in wrestling. Like, no one's kicked out of it except once, that they never talk about. But yeah, One Winged Angel, Kenny Omega's finisher is the finishing move in wrestling that no one walks away from. And it's going to build to a point where someone kicks out of it, and it's going to be the biggest moment in wrestling that year.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. I've really been studying it because you know what move I don't really care for is the Michinoku driver or the Falcon's arrow, because they never win matches. Very rarely anymore. Right? Like Santos Escobar has the Phantom driver, and he wins with it. But there aren't really that many of them anymore that do. So I've really been watching the One Winged Angel and trying to figure out what makes it so interesting or so unique. And obviously it's because he's got him up on the shoulders, so there's a little more torque on it. But he also has to be it just has to be very strong and athletic with the way he lands to not kill that person.
Yes, and when it's done to its fullest effectiveness, he holds the leg and it's an automatic pin. And that's where I think it's a really good move. I don't think he quite got that with Jungle Boy. Maybe there's too much bounce there. He if he can hold that leg, it's a pinning maneuver that's also a high impact maneuver. So it's a good one.
Right. So what is your number two? What a way to end this. You're number two.
We're number two. So number two is still maybe the most freakish athletic move I've ever seen off the top rope, and it's the Black Arrow from Pac.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I mean, I just can't explain that. I mean, I've seen people do a lot of things. That Black Arrow, he does it every time beautifully. He's an absolute freak of an athlete, and if he was 2 inches taller, he would have been WWE champion for 6 reigns at this point.
Yeah, I did. I wanted to put Ricochet's move on there, but he doesn't win matches anymore.
Right.
So this is gonna be you're gonna think I'm a bad person for this. So I considered the Black Arrow, and I love it. It's mind bending, really. Does it bother you at all when he goes to do it that he hesitates for at least a full second to gather himself to do it?
No, that makes it better for me.
Do you think so?
Yeah, because he's selling the difficulty.
Okay.
Like this is hard. This is a very difficult move. I'm going to take a minute to gather myself before I twist and flip 14 times in the ring. So, yes, no, I'm a big fan. Big fan of the hesitation.
You know who would be a tremendous professional wrestler is Simone Biles. Did you see any of her floor routine?
I did not watch her floor routine.
I just saw a social media highlight of it. Like one of her passes was basically jumping up and doing a Black Arrow in the air. It's just so great. Like I was like, oh yeah, that's right. That's why Ricochet's so good at this. He's got some gymnastics background going on in there. So, well, there we go. Top 10 finishers. A good conversation. I like where it took us. A couple of those times, and we got to talk about the past a little bit. we talk about other finishers that nobody does. Nobody does a tombstone anymore. There are certain one of those that certain people don't do. Choke slam, anyone can do a choke slam now. So it's funny how some of these have gone. Maybe at some point we should do a definitive list of our all-time favorites. Maybe we should do that down the road next summer.
Yeah, I think that needs to happen for sure. You think this sent me down the road of the best choke slam of all time still belongs to the Hurricane. When he would grab someone by the throat and he's 6'1" or whatever. I mean, he's Adam Cole's size basically, and he's doing these choke slams, and you kind of see him do that. You hear people complain about the Young Bucks killing the business and taking the business back 30 years and all this bullshit. What do you think the fucking Hurricane was like?
Yes, of course.
And it was, don't get me wrong, it was great. It's great in the way the Young Bucks are great. And it's, and the Bucks are even a little more serious than that. So, anyway, yeah, I think Hurricane's choke slam just made me think of that. It was excellent.
It's fantastic. What are we doing next?
Well,
so first of all, before we go on, we do need to talk about our vacation schedule.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that real quick. We didn't drop that off the top.
That's true.
So we're dropping this. So this is out. We are going to be on vacation next week because it is the summer and we deserve it. So we're going to take that off. That is going to leave the Fakeaverse here without a proper Money in the Bank preview, and then any thing we would want to mention from Slammiversary. Those things are dropping. Stay tuned to linktr.ee/yes we know it's fake. All the social channels, we will probably be able to drop some of our thoughts there, who we think is going to win Money in the Bank. Of course, Money in the Bank is, Paul mentioned it, I think a couple episodes ago, it is one of, if not my favorite pay-per-view event, special wrestling event of the year. I just love the match. I love the implications that it has, except for when Otis wins. So we'll talk a little bit more about that coming up. But we've got two other lists I think we're going to try to jam through in this episode.
Well, it's going to be tough. So I'm going to suggest we start with factions as we creep up on the 30-minute mark of this episode. Let's hit the best factions in wrestling. And then if we still have time in the episode, we'll come back around to our best non-wrestling characters in wrestling. And you can tell me why -1 is your number one.
Oh, absolutely. I, first of all, just want to talk about how nervous I am about this list. I feel like not only is there maybe one faction I'm missing, I might be missing two factions. I feel very squishy about this list. I definitely have definitive feelings about the ones I have listed. I am just so paranoid that I'm going to miss one of them. So anyway, there you go. How about you? You feeling okay?
I gotta say, like, I ran down this list and it's a little bit rough in that, like, the home of faction warfare with New Japan. I don't watch enough New Japan to rank any of them. Like that feels a little awkward to do it. So for this one specifically, we're definitely like looking at the the WWE, NXT, AEW, Impact. At least for me, I'm looking in that space. Just because I have a little more ability to speak to that space.
Okay, makes sense.
So, do you want me to kick off number 10? I got a number 10.
Well, I think we need to make a couple, at least talk about the ground rules of what makes a faction.
Sure. Sure. Good idea.
So, how did you put this together? What is a faction and what is not a faction?
So, a faction is at least 3 wrestlers. You can have a extra component beyond that, but like you mentioned it, the Hurt Business being MVP and Lashley. That's not a faction. That's two dudes who hang out.
It was when they started.
It
Right.
was when they started.
Not anymore.
Yep.
Not anymore.
It's not anymore. So the Hurt Business, not on the list. Retribution started as a faction, no longer a faction. Not sure if they still call themselves that, but those two dudes are on their own. Yeah. So that's a little bit of what I was thinking ground rule wise. I would bend it a little bit for a non tag team with a manager. So if it was a wrestler and a manager, not like a tag team with a manager though. That's not a faction. Like Legion of Doom and Paul Ellering is not a faction.
Definitely not. Absolutely not. Yes. Absolutely not. Lucha House Party used to be, not anymore. I know they would have been on your list.
Yeah, and that's a good one too. I think the Brood back in the day, that would have been a faction.
Yep.
But it's also a little weird, like an SCU, where it's like, are you a faction or are you just a trios tag team? Like, what's the line there? I don't know. But obviously, they're now no longer together, any of them. So it doesn't really matter that much.
Now, I also want to say that I need to get this out of the way. That I do not have the New Day on my list.
Yes, same. I don't have New Day on my list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. It doesn't feel like they're together. They are together, but they're on separate shows, and they're still not, like, Big E is not coming to Xavier Woods' aid on Raw.
Right.
So I don't have them on the list, and I just want to say that. If they were together, I would probably have them top two, no problem, just to say that out loud.
Yeah.
So a lot of qualifiers here, but I think it's important to get that out of the way. Okay.
Please submit all of your whatabouts to our Twitter account, our Facebook page. Drop by our houses and say hello, whatever you feel like doing to talk about how wrong we are with these. But I think the ground rules are set. Alan, should we get after this thing?
I think we should. Let me get the right drops ready to go. Are you going first?
I'm going first with my number 10.
Everyone's a mark.
And I am a major mark for Diamond Mine. They've done nothing so far. But I am putting them at number 10 based on the potential of what they will be doing soon. You don't get my brother and I had this conversation last week. He wasn't thrilled with the spot. I thought the spot was perfect. You put them, You put them at the end of the show. You got Joe out of there in order to kind of give them free reign to beat someone up. You had to orchestrate essentially that entire main event was there for Diamond Mine. That wasn't about Cole and O'Reilly. You can have them fight anywhere, anytime. You had to orchestrate that entire thing to isolate Kushida with no one to come to his aid, because Kyle would have. You had to orchestrate that entire thing to get Kushida isolated to be beat up by Diamond Mine. And do it to close a show. I think they're going to be putting a lot of stock in Diamond Mine. So that's my number 10.
It's finally going to get Bivens over. Like, that's what's good.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be. They've been looking for a way to plug him in, and they have stopped and started. And I think this is going to be the thing where people are like, "Oh yeah, he's great." Also,
Yeah. Alan, who's your number 10?
where was it?
Everyone's a mark.
Okay, I'm a mark for this faction who I do completely acknowledge that I don't know everything about them. But the first time that I saw something for Contra from MLW, I knew that I was in love. I knew it. It was love at first sight. super bad dudes hijacking television waves, using borderline terrorist propaganda with a giant badass at the top. Paul, when they went into the pandemic, Contra, the part of the storyline when they came out of it was that Contra figured out where MLW was relaunching, and they just went and took over. They hijacked the building. They just hijacked the building and said, we're taking this show over, and had baby faces from the I was called the label, from the promotion to come in and try to free the building from Contra's control. These are the types of villains we need in professional wrestling. And Jacob Fatu is also a badass who we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Contra is my number 10.
Yeah, I think that's a great call. And I'll just go ahead and say it. They're my number 9.
There you go.
Contra is really interesting, and Jacob Fatu is maybe the best kept secret in wrestling that's about to get out.
Yeah, I agree. Excellent. So that was so we did 10s, and then you just did 9. So
yep.
I will bounce back.
Let me say this. I like wrestling.
I also like the Dark Order, and I really wanted to rank them higher than 9, but I just couldn't do it. I like them. I don't like them as much as I did probably 4 or 5 months ago, but they're great. So I have Dark Order 9.
Nice. I will save my Dark Order thoughts because we'll see them again soon. Okay. So why don't you go ahead and hit us with number 8?
Okay.
God bless Danny Burch.
My number 8, as I sit here in my Cierro Miedo shirt, I am counting Death Triangle as a faction, and I am putting them at number 8, even though the 3 of them never seem to be on TV at the same time, and I don't really understand what's happening. Putting them with Alex Abrahantes. One of my favorite things on TV, period, is when Pentagon says something in Spanish, and then Alex says, Penta says, blah, 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 blah,
yeah.
blah, Cero, Mierdo. Like, I love it so much.
It's a really good gimmick, and probably a preview of some non-wrestling character for us to talk about there. But
yes, that's exactly right.
He's very good. I did not count Death Triangle just because of exactly what you mentioned. They're so rarely on TV. Is Eddie with them? Is he not with them? What's Eddie Kingston doing? Like, I need like Death Pentagon to come in and like for them to grab like Andrade joins the group and Eddie joins the group, and those 5 go up against Inner Circle
Pinnacle.
And the Pinnacle and the Elite, and they're a little bit running in that space of 3-man territory, and it's just they've got a few or bring in Kazarian instead of Andrade. I don't really care. There's plenty of talent out there that they could pluck from their own roster or from other rosters to be a part of it. But very good. Did not make my list for the exact reasons you mentioned, that it's just not feeling like a cohesive unit.
I say this about every quarter on the podcast, but just criminally underbooked are the Lucha Brothers and Pac, to be fair. Like, all 3 of them make sense together because they are all misused is strong and not what I mean, but they are not used to as the best of their ability.
Yeah, I mean, and we're saying that about a guy who was just in the main event of a pay-per-view. He was just there.
Yes. Because there was no chance he was winning. All right.
When we get to the end of this, I have a fun game for us to play. But so that was your number 8. So I'll hit you with Danny Burch. I'll hit you with 8 as Imperium. They've been running a little slower lately, but feels like we're about to get that group back up and running as travel restrictions lift and some things like that. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more Imperium coming soon. The gimmick still works of the mat is sacred and we're just going to hurt people. I really like it.
You know that I love these guys. I don't have them on my list, and I probably should, but mostly because there's just been a lot of inertia on it. But I'll tell you this much. There was a Samoa Joe. He did a podcast interview recently, and he talked about people he wanted to wrestle or he should wrestle, and he mentioned Walter's name. And I was just like, oh, shit.
It turns out the only match we wanted more than Ciampa versus Walter is Joe versus Walter. And now I want Ciampa versus Joe. So that's going to be fun when that happens.
Yes. That's amazing.
No. So they're my number 8. My number 7 was your aforementioned Dark Order.
Okay. Good.
They are firmly in, the underdog, most lovable category. They've got a few guys that can really go. Once Johnny Hungy is back up and running, let's stick a rocket on that kid's back and really get him out there. I think they're consistently killing it on BTE. When they do get TV time, they do a good job. I'll go ahead and say Dark Order's number 7 for me.
Okay. All right. I will move to my number 7 here. Excuse me.
You kidding me?
My number 7 is The Pinnacle. They are on the list. They're not my favorite. And there are pieces. I like all of the pieces individually. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, that I like the pieces individually. It just doesn't seem to be coming together in the way that I would like it to, but it's still good. It's not great. It's still good. So I'm giving them the number 7 spot out of potential. My number 6 is Hit Row. Hit Row is number 1 in my heart. They are not quite there yet, but they are excellent. And it is going to put them all over. I honestly hope that at some point Hit Row is such a big deal, they have all the championships. Women's championship, tag championships, men, and then please give Swerve the big one. Like, I think they have it, and they can do anything they want to. So I have Hit Row 6.
I like Hit Row at 6. I don't like Pinnacle where you've ranked them. I left Pinnacle off of my list.
I thought you might. I kind of wanted to. And this is also why I'm afraid I have missed someone really big.
Yeah, I left Pinnacle off of my list. I mean, you could make an argument to bounce any of my bottom 3 in favor of Pinnacle, but what has Pinnacle done since they've been together? Name one thing they've done.
They lost Stadium Stampede match. They beat the shit out of Conan.
But that wasn't even Pinnacle. That was FTR did that.
Well, they are Pinnacle.
They beat up Dean
FTR's
Malenko.
Pinnacle.
No. Pinnacle's done nothing. Pinnacle has done nothing as a group. And I don't think it's working at all. I hope they prove me wrong, because it's sink or swim moment for Sean Spears being linked up with this group, and I like Sean Spears, but
yeah, that's
but yeah, they're not on my list. Hit Row's on my list. I'll get there. Number 6, they might have teased breaking up. They are definitely slowing down, but the Inner Circle's still coming in at number 6 for me.
I have Inner Circle at number 5. I'll just go ahead and say that.
Yeah.
I want them to be over. Kind of badly. I was really rooting for them to lose the Stadium Stampede. So, and I was very surprised when they won, but now I understand that they're trying to make Sammy Guevara into the hottest babyface that is not Adam Page. So I understand what they're doing.
Yeah.
But it needs to be over pretty soon, in my estimation.
And the sooner, I mean, it's so rough right now when you've got the Young Bucks, easily the best tag team in the world, doing the best work, but you also have FTR, Santana Ortiz, Death Triangle. You can keep going down the list of excellent tag teams, and I'm just nervous that this tag team division is getting swallowed by the Elite story. I think that's something I'm really nervous about.
Who do you have at number 5?
No, you want to act like you love Hit Row? I've got them at number 5. They are that hot. They are going to be so great, and they already are. But like the amount of potential within that group to just run that show. My only concern right now, and we'll get to the, we'll save that thought, but I do have a concern, but Hit Row, it's going to be fire. Like you can already see they are the most interesting thing happening, sort of in that
They're so good.
Emerging space. Yeah. It's really, really good.
They're so great. They're so good. I hope that they just bypass the North American Championship and go straight after the big one. Give me Swerve and Hit Row. Just give it to me against everybody. It's just go right to the top. It's so perfect. So perfect. Okay, you're number 4, correct?
I have no idea. What was the last one you did?
I did.
You did
5.
number 5.
I did 5.
Yeah, you did 5. Yeah, and my number. So yeah, my number 4, Legado del Fantasma. That just should be the next Undisputed Era. Like absolutely 100%. Like their in-ring works amazing. You just can't convince me that you don't have 3 championship caliber people right there. And, the thing that is a little concerning, and we'll talk about it now, but, you've got Diamond Mine, Hit Row, and Legado, all 3-man groups, all right now appearing to run heel. So I'm a little concerned about that. So.
Yep. I love those guys. I have them higher, so I'm going to hold this. My number 4, and I really can't believe I'm saying this. I have the Best Friends at number 4.
That is interesting.
That is
really interesting.
I can't believe it. But I just keep coming back. A lot of it has to do with Chuck Taylor's not wrestling.
Well, Trent just had surgery.
And Trent
again.
just had hurt. Right. He just got hurt. But Chuck Taylor would make a nice manager to me, or just like a mascot. And I just love what they're doing with Orange, and even with Chris Statlander. I really love her addition to the whole thing. And I just can't believe it, but I like the Best Friends. I like them. I think their songs are good. I like everything about it. I like the big hug. I give the people what you want. All of those things. It's just easy. It's just easy, man. It's just easy, and I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's a pretty good call. I didn't put them on my list. I didn't really think about them as a faction in that way. But I suppose you're right. I guess they fit that bill. I just really didn't think about them in that way. So there's my embarrassing miss.
Yeah. Statlander has adds a different dimension to it. So if you want to, you can get into a really deep rabbit hole of are Chris Statlander and Orange Cassidy dating. You can really get into that. It turns out that they just work together on the indies, and so that's another reason why they've paired, and they are friends, and that's why they've paired them together. But actually, through that rabbit hole, I learned that Chris Statlander and Caleb with a K from Impact are a couple.
Oh, interesting.
So there you go.
It's amazing what you can learn on Instagram.
Yes. Also, I learned that. Yeah, right. I know. Also, I learned that Allie, aka the Bunny, former 2-time Knockouts champion, had no idea.
Correct.
So,
that's correct. She's held some gold.
Yes. So anyway, there you go. A lot of Impact crossover there. Okay. Did you say number 4? I'm having a hard time.
I did my number 4. It's your number 3. Your turn.
Oh, yeah. Number 3 for me.
Mr. Barry, we got a problem.
I have Legado del Fantasma. Santos Escobar is perfection. I never thought I would believe Joaquin Wilde as the muscle, but he's trying hard, and I believe it now. Him and Mendoza are very good. I still feel like they need a fourth person, and ever since I've heard Kaz on the Masked Man Show fantasy book that they go up and Dominic Mysterio is the Rock to Santos Escobar's Farouk, it's all I want to happen. It's all I want is heel Dominic running the Legado gimmick, beating the hell out of Ray. It's all I want. Anyway, they're great without Dominic. They're great.
I don't hate
everything that Andrade should have been.
Yeah.
Right.
I have a hunch that we are going to miss. Like I may have added a group that you might not think qualified, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So that was your number 3 was Legado. So I've now got number 3
Mr.
followed by
Barry,
number
we
2.
got a problem.
Number
That is
3 for me is the seemingly coming face turn for The Way.
Yes.
Because they're going to be able to run everything back again as faces, and the crowds will eat it up. It's just a little bit of a matter of, are you going to finally get Indy and Dexter together, and Dexter becomes part of The Way as this weird silent partner. I don't know,
Right.
but I know I'm eating it up right now. I'm really loving what they're doing with The Way. Gargano is just giving us a whole other dimension to who he is. Somehow they've rehabbed Austin Theory from everything.
They really have.
And
really have.
Candace finally getting gold, Indy Hartwell and Dexter Loomis, and down to the little things we support indie wrestling, and then just going with Index, so much win in The Way. So they're my number 3.
They are also my number 2. And what I was going to say, and I stopped myself, is let's send Karrion Kross to be screwed over on the main roster. Let's give Johnny the title, and let's really just go The Way versus Hit Row and just see what happens. You can't. It just
Swerve
won't be better
versus
than-
Gargano for the title. Any
Come on,
takeover.
man.
Any takeover.
Oh my God! Just do the build would be so great. Do it for 2 takeovers for all I care. Just do it. Oh my God, it'd be so great. It would just be all the oxygen, because when you were they're all heels, and I was yeah, because The Way is about to be the hottest babies in NXT, and they're gonna be able to run against all those teams. It's gonna be fantastic. Fantastic. So I have The Way as number 2. What have you done at number 2?
At number 2, I've got, and I'm assuming they qualify, but maybe we haven't pulled both brothers in far enough to call the Bloodline a faction. But I've got Roman Reigns and the Usos at number 2.
This makes a lot of sense. I did not pull them in because they have 3 not acknowledged him at the same time in the same place. So technicality, yes. That's why I don't have them at number 2, or otherwise you're exactly right. Jimmy is missing. Excuse me. Jay is missing. Jimmy can't find him. And they're turning the screws very slowly on this. And it is very good. I don't have them together because I don't feel like they're together. But when they do, and they will get together, when they do, they will then be maybe number 1.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's them and the
But
Elite.
it's close.
And I mean, I think that's what we're,
Yes.
the Elite is doing just such excellent work. They've built their own platform to do some excellent work and figured out how to get that over. And get other people over too. Like, we're not talking about the Dark Order without being the Elite.
Oh,
Like,
no, absolutely not. Yeah.
They've done a tremendous job with that. So, but giving new life to Brandon Cutler as a character, giving giving the Young Bucks such a forum to heel off in new fun ways that, like, I don't think any of us knew we could, like, enjoyably hate the Young Bucks this much, but here we are. Like, they've done just such an excellent job of being real heels, not just like we're supposed to hate them, but like, yeah, no, I definitely want to see them get their ass kicked. It's enjoyable to watch them get their ass kicked. And, we may be rooting for them to be on our TV, but it's so we can see them get their asses handed to them. That's fun. Kenny Omega's Kenny Omega is, an easy top 2 wrestler in the world right now. And you can go back and forth on him and Roman Reigns. But as a unit, the Elite outmatch the Bloodline, especially when you put Anderson and Gallows in the mix. They've got Nakazawa to kick around. They've got Brandon Cutler to kick around. Don Callis as the manager is right up there with Paul Heyman. It's just good top to bottom.
The Young Bucks promo on Saturday Dynamite, where Cutler kept trying to talk, and they're like, "Shut up, Brandon," and then he like landed one, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll take that one," and he's like fist pumping in the back.
Yes.
Like, it's just, you know what I mean? Like, it's just so good, and him as a heel is very good because he's like comes across as the nicest person in the world, and all of it makes sense. But the thing that really does it for me, Paul, is the freaking danglies.
Yes.
And the earrings.
Yes.
On that promo, Nick Jackson had an earring chain that clasped onto the top of his hat. And it's just perfect. Like, it's so annoying, but it's also like, we love Shawn Michaels still. Like, everything about the Bucks, I just see Shawn Michaels, because if you go back and look, Shawn had all the big dangly earrings, and it's just it just makes sense. But even when I heard Gallows call himself Captain Dangly, or maybe it was Don Callis called him Captain Dangly, or he told me I'm supposed to call him Captain Dangly, or just something is, oh my God, it's so perfect, and it's so fun, and it's the perfect blend of heel and not cool heel, if that makes sense. Like, we can laugh for them, but we're booing the shit out of them. Like you said. Like,
yeah. And because they're attacking all of our favorite babies. They're hurting everyone we want to see succeed. And they're annoyingly not defending those tag team titles. And not in a creative, can't figure out how to work it into a show kind of way, WWE. But they're not, for all my complaint about them being swallowed up within the Elite storyline, it's still not quite the same as your tag champions have actually been taken out by the world champion, and so they can't defend their tag championships. Or, one of your tag championships champions is one of the best wrestlers in the world, and so and the other one is marginal in the ring, so we can't really have them work that much. Like, that's not what we're doing with the Bucks and with Kenny Omega. And the thing works, and it works across shows too. Doing it on Impact and on AEW. they're killing it. They're killing it. And Roman needs to get all those people together in one spot and start up a feud with The Rock, because unless he gets some kind of real feud in there, he's going to start sliding down that list a little bit.
Yeah, it is. I agree. And I think that's why they're milking and that's why having Jay be missing is a big deal.
Yeah.
Like they're milking it.
Yeah. And having Edge come back is interesting. I don't believe Edge is going to take that title off of him.
No, of course not.
I think Edge is...
He couldn't beat him. He couldn't beat him in a triple threat. He got stacked.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I look at the lineup they're trying to do there with Edge coming back and probably running Money in the Bank against Roman, and you want to get a pop. I get it. And you want to get through to live crowds for when you have John Cena or Brock Lesnar or whoever come back to highlight SummerSlam against Roman Reigns. But you can't tell me that John Cena's or that Edge is there to win that title. It's going to be incredibly interesting and fun, but I need, and soon, I've said it before, that I thought Roman might hold it all the way till WrestleMania next year, but I need to feel like that might not be true if you're going to keep me interested.
Yeah, I agree with that. The Bloodline story is what's carrying SmackDown, but soon it needs to feel like there's a threat at some point, because that story can't go for that long. Like, even if Jimmy comes out and he's like, yo, man, I can't get a hold of Jay, and Jay shows up and acts like he's Edge's partner, and then screws him over. Like, there's not much of that gas left in the tank. I agree with you there.
Yeah.
But they could also run as a badass faction for at least a quarter. They could at least give you 3 months of them just being unbeatable and giving him the tag champs and just letting him run it.
Yeah. And this is where WWE really made a mistake of not having Christian available and locking him up, because
absolutely right.
You want to talk about something that would be fire if Edge and Christian and maybe you even insert Jeff Hardy into that story, and let them go up against the other three in the Bloodline. Now that's interesting. Now you've got some combinations to make some matches and make some, build some heat. But Edge is a one-man army against three guys is, you've got to build some people up to take on those three dudes.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Imagine Roman says, bro, you're not on my level. You two have to beat the Usos before you get a sniff at me. Boy, that'd just be a fire main event.
Right.
So.
And you could do something similar if you brought over, if Drew McIntyre doesn't win Money in the Bank, or he does and he decides he's going to try to cash in on Roman. That's certainly a way you could do that. It's certainly a way you could easily get that belt off of Roman too, and then put it right back on him and make some interesting storyline there. But at least he could bring Sheamus with him or something like that. They can drop that U.S. title off Sheamus in a heartbeat.
Well, I haven't even seen him wrestle.
He's got like a broken nose or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. He's never on the Hulu cut for me, so I don't ever see it. Paul, you were prophetic as usual. You were like, it'd be hard pressed for us to get top non-wrestling characters in. We're going to go ahead and hold those for an episode to be named later, way in the future. That was a lot of fun talking about factions, and I don't think we really embarrassed ourselves that much. I'm very proud of us for that. I feel very good.
Right until someone says, hey, geniuses, what about this?
Right.
Which you can do. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, all the places.
That's exactly right. And you can do that. linktr.ee/yes we know it's fake. It has all that stuff right there. It's very easy. Couple clicks and get you to everything you need. And also give your friends the hot tag. Send that to them. Be like, you know what? These idiots are pretty good. They know their stuff. They didn't miss a single faction except for these three. Anyway. All right. Paul, enjoy we're about to hit a little vacation. Enjoy your time off. I believe you've deserved it. So go ahead and take that and enjoy it. We're going to come back and we are going to talk about Money in the Bank. We're going to talk about any of those initial WWE cuts popping up at Slammiversary and seeing what kind of trajectory they may be going on. So it's a very, very exciting time. And then we're not that far from SummerSlam. So anyway, we're heating up a little bit. Live shows all over the country. What would you like to take us out?
I got to say it, Alan, have a great vacation. And God bless Danny Burch.
Yes, that's right. Later, y'all.